this is what I'm talking about. These are the rarest tapes in my collection. These are all the old man's bootlegs, and he made these over the years. Like, I remember him taping a lot of them, specifically The Blob and Creature from the Black Lagoon. But I just want to kind of go over all these movies because these are all movies that I grew up with. This is how I first seen them. I think a lot of us tape enthusiasts, we have a soft spot for stuff of the past, especially stuff that either we made ourselves, i.e. like fanzines, comic books, drawings, all that kind of stuff. Well, this is another type of imprint for me, and it's these tapes that my dad made. And even now and then, like me and him will come down here and he'll be like, I can't believe you kept all these. And I'm like, man, this is like gold. This shit is fucking gold to me. So let's take a look. We're going to go through the entire collection. We're going to look at every tape because I think it's interesting, because I got something to say about every one of these, more or less. So we're going to start it off. I'm not going to pull these out because it's kind of a pain in the ass, and like with the focus and all that, so just bear with me here. We're gonna start off with this one, though. I will pull this one out. This is Wonders of Weather, which is something that he made, which kind of really inspired me to do my own kind of like crafty stuff. This is just something that he recorded off TV about tornadoes, and like the thing that really got me was how he put on the back, another RP production. And I just thought, like, wow, like this is cool. Like you could make these, like you can do this. Like I always knew you could tape movies, but I never knew you could kind of like, as archaic as this is, I never knew you could do this. And that just kind of reminded me of something. I should show you guys something real quick without wrecking the fucking microphone here. Like from these recordings that he made way back when, it inspired me to do this. For fuck's sakes. Hopefully that's good. This is well, it's really dark. The Afro Death and Locker double feature VHS tape. You know what I mean? Like if it wasn't for these tapes that he made, I would have never made that. This actually has two of my short films. You can see them on the channel. Afro Death in the Locker, but it's because he did stuff like that I would make these things. And not only that, fuck, I got another thing to show. Hold up. It's not, like I just mentioned, it's not just this type of stuff, but it's like I said, like the fanzines, you know what I mean? The bluntzillavideo fucking fanzine with John Woo on the cover. This right here is like almost like my own little Leonard Maltin, where I had, write-ups on films, like horror films, talking about, just stuff that I was really into at the time. So your creep show, like a lot of sort of your basic stuff. But I even wrote an article in here talking about 36 Chambers. It's called 36 Chambers of Headbanger. Like, just talking about stuff that I love, man. And oh, here's the actual fake Leonard Maltin. This is the bluntzillavideo horror movie guide, written by Rick Paradis, and it's in alphabetical order. But as you can see, like American Werewolf in London, Alien, Amityville Horror, like it's pretty day one stuff. Like I should really make another one of these, just focusing on the video nasties once I've done all that. And you know what, I really do miss making all this kind of shit, because I really did love it, and it was great fun. So definitely, I don't know if that has anything to do with this with these tapes, but I think it does. So yeah, there's Wonders of Weather. So of course next we got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, classic, directed by Tobe Hooper. Scared the shit out of me, because I think a lot of people have this same thing where the first time they seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it was like some old shitty bootleg that like their fucking cousin taped or something like that, or like their dad taped, and it's freaky as hell. And the darkness of this recording adds to the mystique of the film for me, and always made it more fucking terrifying, especially when poor little Franklin gets murdered in the bush. And there is some blood hitting Leatherface in that, so I just recently seen that, because honestly, this was the only version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre I had seen up until I seen it in 35mm at Rainbow way back when, like 10 years ago. And then I got the DVD, and it wasn't even until recently that I watched that DVD, so it was crazy. Crazy shit. The Blob, like I said, I remember specifically the night of watching that. I don't know if this one has... No. But some of these have the Leonard Maltin write-up taped to them, so I gotta point those out when they come up. But The Blob's great. Reminds me of Chicken Soup, because I remember I was sick when we watched The Blob. Creature from the Black Lagoon, same night. TCM, channel 50 fucking 2, man. We recorded those bitches. I was like I was probably about, I was under 10 for sure. And I'll never forget it, man. It just, those movies, when I watch them, I can smell my dad's chicken soup cooking, which is crazy because I can't even enjoy that shit anymore because I don't eat meat anymore, which is fucking, you know, that and like a certain kinds of things. Like, basically, the only thing I would go back to eating meat for would maybe to eat some of my dad's chicken soup, or if, like, you know, someone I knew that was dead could come back and cook me one of their classics, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, The Blob is great sci-fi from the 50s. One of the 50s films that I actually like that's a sci-fi film, because I've mentioned before offhand that I'm not the biggest fan of like those B movie kind of like you know, monster movies. I just realized the mic wasn't on me, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna be okay because this mic's pretty fucking OG. Moving along, I just mentioned this in my Omega Man and Westworld video. That is Omega Man and Mad Max on the same tape. My dad's probably watched that more times than he's taken breaths in his life. That's not an exaggeration. Both classics, both from the 70s. This is great. This is as classic as it comes to me. I think, yeah, no, it doesn't, but we're getting there. Return of the Living Dead Part 3, the first Return of the Living Dead that I ever seen, and was always freaked out by it. For some reason, even as much as I loved the Living Dead films, i.e., you know, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, as much as I love those, they freaked me out so much. And whenever there was a comedy element, like I remember in passing, we had seen like Return of the Living Dead on TV, and I remember like seeing the scene where that zombie chick, like half her corpse is on the table, and she's like, I can feel myself rotting. I remember like being so disturbed by that and just like grossed out, and like I could feel it in my guts. Like I'm like, oh my god, is that what's gonna happen? You know, when you're a young kid, right? Yeah, so Living Dead Part 3. I haven't watched that in a long goddamn time. Sticker's starting to peel, but Village of the Living Damned. Excuse me, Village of the Damned, which is a film about a bunch of really bad little shit disturber kids that they're all born on like the same night, and they're all they communicate telepathically. Raise hell. It's really good. There's actually a remake by John Carpenter that I would not recommend, as much as a Carpenter fan as I am, but I don't think it's a good film. And it's got Christopher Reeve. It's one of those ones that I set aside. Like, I don't watch this movie. I remember when I got it, I was psyched to see it, but fuck, man, no good. Night of the Living Dead, a classic George Romero film. Once again, first time I've seen that film. But I the thing is, I can remember the line, "I'm coming to get you, Barbara," before seeing this film, because it was all over pop culture. It was in every cartoon and all that. Everything that had a Halloween special basically said that. So actually sitting down and watching it was really crazy. And I was always like, the thing about that movie to me was how sad it is at the end. I think that's a lot of people's thing. It is a sad film at the end, man. Yeah, this next one is a fucking travesty. I wish I never did it. It's one of my biggest regrets of all time in terms of these tapes, but I did manage to get a new copy of American Pop, but I taped over my fucking dad's copy of American Pop with some of my old short films, and there's a goddamn example where he has the Leonard Maltin thing, and I scribbled it all out. God damn it. 2015, I was a different person for sure. American Pop, though, if you haven't seen, is an epic animated film. I think it's Ralph Bakshi, who also did like Fritz the Cat. He did Fire and Ice. He did Hey There, Good Looking, Coonskin, which I think are the same film, but he's done a lot of fucking animation. He did the Lord of the Rings one as well, but it's a great kind of generational animation film about, it's all connected through music. I would say if you're a music lover, you should watch it. Me and my girlfriend watched this a long time ago, and she really liked it. So, you know, if you're into that kind of thing, I highly recommend it. If you like heavy metal, watch this film. It's not the same thing. It's maybe not the same vein, but it's the same greasy fucking bordello, if you want to call it that. Moving along, we got Invasions of the Body Snatchers, which is the remake from 1978 with Donald Sutherland, which is a movie that scared the fuck out of me, and I actually haven't seen it since back then. That's no shit. So I need to watch that. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I remember liking it, thinking it was good, but I have not watched it in many years. freaky movie. Actually, I've seen the goddamn movie that has what the hell is her name? I think it was called, I forget. Oh, God damn it! I wish I knew the name of it right now. But there was a remake of it, and it had that blonde chick. People probably know what I'm talking about. I've seen that more times than I've seen this. I'm not saying that other one's a good film or anything. I'm just saying. Actually, I will say I didn't mind it. I didn't think it was dog shit, but I know that this movie is better. You know. Next, this is one of the most haunting, most scarring fucking movies of all time. My cousin C-Mac can vouch for this. This is Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. Yes. Disturbio City, man. When we were kids and we would watch, the first time we watched it, we were affected in different ways. I'd love to have my cousin on here to talk about that. We could do like a podcast or something, but he was affected by the music. I was affected by the shots of Michael Myers looking up into the window. And I shit you not, I looked out my window. We lived in an apartment building back then. As a matter of fact, my cousin and my aunt lived in the apartment right across the hall from us, which was fucking awesome. Which meant we got to hang out all the time, which was dope for us. But I remember looking out the window and looking in the parking lot and just being, oh man, I was waiting to see Michael Myers back then. I don't think there's anything on the tape with this one. And I think that these are uncut as well. I don't think they're TV edits. I think he taped them from an actual tape. We got La Bamba, which is a great film. Richie Valens. The sad story of Richie Valens, who was a musician back, I believe, in the 50s. And it's a very tragic story, to be honest with you. And it's perfectly acted by, oh man, oh no, what's his name? Fuck. Lou Diamond Phillips, right? Oh my god, Young Guns is right in front of me, so I gotta look. What is this? Lou Diamond Phillips, yeah. So Lou Diamond Phillips plays Richie Valens. I think William Forsythe is in this film as the Big Bopper, and yeah, it's a very tragic story about these musicians that were killed in a plane crash. Very sad. It seems like that happens, or that has happened quite a few times. Very sad stuff. I'm just gonna move our setup over. So, moving along, we got something I actually acquired, which is the Dracula show from Netflix, and all the episodes are there, which is great. I loved that show. I made a video talking about it. A lot of people gave it shit, but you know what? Whatever, man, because I really liked it. I really thought it was good. I thought there was some good Christopher Lee-esque moments. There was some good Bela Lugosi-esque moments. There was some good, even some, Francis Ford Coppola's version mixed up in there. And I really did, the more I think about it, I really don't mind at all the modern twist at the end. And I loved, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but too bad. Basically, it's revealed that Dracula is, he comes from a warrior family, but he's like the pansy of the family that wouldn't fight and all this, and he was banished to go to people's houses unless he was invited. He wouldn't look at himself in the mirror because he was so ashamed, and that's where all those tropes came from, and it was so fucking awesome. So I just spoiled the shit out of it. You don't need to watch it, but watch it. Of course, we got The Irishman, which is 3.5 fucking hours long, which is a great movie. I wish there was more Pesci in it, but I think it's really goddamn good. We got Nosferatu, which is coming up on its 100th birthday, which is one of the earlier horror films, along with Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, that came out during the German Expressionist movement back in the early teens to 20s. They were putting out some exceptional film. Actually, one of the better parts about going to film school, I thought, that we didn't get enough of, and back in, like, during it, I was like, this is whatever, but now I really do miss it, and that was the film discussion. I just wish there was less, like, fucking, like, 18 and 19-year-olds, because I was, like, I entered film school when I was, like, 25 or 26, no, I think about 25, and there was only, like, a couple other people that I really connected with, so everyone else was really young. They hadn't seen fucking anything. Alright, so next we got Godzilla. This is actually the animated show that was put out by Netflix probably about two or 3 years ago. Highly exceptional. I thought it was great. The animation looked spectacular. I loved the way Godzilla looked. It really kind of got me back into wanting to watch some anime. But I really did enjoy this. And if anyone knows of really good anime, I still haven't watched the Castlevania thing. So if you know some good, And I've watched Afro Samurai, and I've watched or I own Samurai Champloo. I think the first disc of that, or the first season. I don't know if it's. I know I have a DVD of Samurai Champloo somewhere, but yeah, man. If you got any suggestions, hit me up. Next, we got Day of the Dead, of course, another George A. Romero classic. I think this one has the. Yes, it does. There it is, baby. Day of the Dead with the Leonard Maltin write-up. What does Leonard Maltin have to say? Romero's creatures trap a female scientist with some army sexists in an underground bunker. She wants to study them, but the army balks at being zombie brunch. Third Dead entry is relentlessly talky for over an hour, but Tom Savini's effects do give this a show-stopping finale. Easily the least of the series. Wow, Mr. Maltin. Those are fucking heavy words, because I know a bunch of people that would say this is the best of the series. It's definitely better than Night of the Living Dead. You know what I mean? I think that's a no-brainer. As classic and as monumental as Night of the Living Dead is, it's not even fucking close to the quality of Day of the Dead. Next we got Clown House, which is directed by a fucking scumbag, but he also directed Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2 and 3, which sucked dick, much like the director in this film. Yeah, disgusting what that guy did. Disgusting, but he made some movies that I don't fucking mind, and I'm not ashamed of liking these films. It's just pathetic what that guy did. Next we got Blackula, which is a blaxploitation Dracula film. There's a sequel called Scream Blackula Scream. I believe that's what it's called. I know I have it down here, but it's like a store-bought one. Not exactly sure where it is off the top of my head, but good stuff. Grew up with that movie. Basically about this African guy, or like an African priest kind of dude, that he gets himself wrapped up in this, and then all of a sudden he's in the modern 70s. It's cool. I would watch it again. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Moving along, we got Paths of Glory, which is a Stanley Kubrick film, I believe. I've embarrassed to say I've not watched it. The Haunting, great film. Kind of started a lot of your tropes in terms of like, you know, like the thing I remember from this movie the most. I believe this is the one where I think it's Julie Harris. I think that's the name of the actress, but I'm pretty positive she's the one that starts that whole, you know, you're squeezing my hand too tight. Oh, you're not. I'm not holding your hand, like that kind of thing. But I think it all ends up being a hoax in that film. It's been a while. Train to Busan, great zombie film put out by South Korean cinema I forget his name. I don't feel that bad for forgetting his name because it's a foreign name and sometimes they're hard to fucking keep track of. Great film though. It's basically a zombie film that takes place on a train, and it's great. Highly recommend it. My dad really liked this one, and the thing is with the old man is he's not big up until his last couple of years that he's actually really began to give the foreign stuff a try. So Train to Busan he really liked. He really loved Parasite. I'm interested to show him The Raid and, you know, a couple of other really good movies that came out of that came or are, you know, the language barrier is one thing, but I think once he looks past that, and he is looking past that, now he's exposing himself to a whole new world of cinema, you know, and that's great. It's a great fucking thing. So, RoboCop. This is the first how I seen RoboCop back in the day. It's uncut. It's fucking insane. I bought this from a garage sale. It's Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, and I remember like watching it and being like, "What the fuck is this?" Because at the time I had only ever seen Nightmare on Elm Street 1. That was it. And then I seen that and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I think that's why I'm not the biggest fan of that one and the later sequels, unfortunately, just because it was such like a shock to the system. And then immediately after that, Freddy vs. Jason came out, and me and my cousin got to see that in theater, which was awesome. We were young as hell. I don't even know how the fuck we got in, but I remember we saw it with my aunt, and I think our like a couple of family friends or something like that. But yeah, it was great. Make sure this microphone's still on me. Okay. Next we got. Oh, you know what? You know what I think? I think I might have also seen New Nightmare. before I'd seen Freddy vs. Jason. So I think I seen 1, then New Nightmare, and then this, and then Freddy vs. Jason. And I remember being like, this is nothing like the 2 films that I just mentioned, because those other 2 films are so dark. And, you know, the first one, I find like zero humor in it, other than like the tongue coming through the phone. Even when I was a kid, I was like, you know what I mean? Like thinking like, it was shit like that I thought about when I was coming up the stairs, or I was, you know, in a dark part of the school or something. For some reason, I remember my public school sometimes being dark, like the hallways. It was stuff like that, you know, because a lot of people might have been scared of stuff. You know, you're scared of like a fucking monster or something. I was scared of like specific fucking people, like Freddy Krueger was going to come. God damn it. Chizo and Bippo and Dippo and all the clowns from Clown House, they were gonna come. And like I had their goddamn names, you know. Insanity. But we're gonna move along. I think I'm gonna move this again just to even this out a little bit. Yeah, as you can see, the floor isn't exactly level in here, but okay. So next we got Maximum Overdrive, which is directed by Stephen King, and it's, to him, he says he hates it and all this, and I don't think he's ever directed again since then, but I really do like that film, and it is ridiculous. Like, you got basically this meteor comes in contact with Earth, or like goes past it, and in its tail leaves all this radioactivity, and it makes all the electronics come to life. Come to life. And there's a scene where you know, everything from an electric knife, which I always was like, whoa, like that was crazy, like the blood on an electric knife. Because I remember we had an electric knife, and I was like, oh, could you imagine getting cut with that? Like, that would fucking hurt, man. There's even a scene where there's a goddamn, what the hell is it called? Like a pop machine, a vending machine is shooting pop out, and it hits this guy in the balls and then hits him in the face, and it's crazy, man. It actually might have been a kid that it hit in the balls, which is insane. Stars Emilio Estevez, of course, from your, it's right here, actually, one of a film that I really do like, which is Breakfast Club. I really do like that. I think that this movie is sort of universally accepted, because I think it really is well done. And like the fact that they're all actually teenagers acting, giving that strong of performances, like, it goes to show you that John Hughes was not only a fantastic writer, but an excellent director, because, you know, it's one of the better directed films. Speaking of, as we move on to the next film, Bride of Frankenstein. Oh my god. This is an example of the sequel being better than the original, in my opinion. And that's a lot for my ass, because I got fucking Frankie on my arm there. And this is, I think, one of the coolest things in the collection. I might have shown this before, but look at that. The old man made that. How fucking, just that, if you're a VHS collector, you know that's fucking cool, man. You know that's badass. Yeah. Love me some James Whale, Boris Karloff. I believe her name was Elsa Lancaster. Exquisite film, man. I'm not even going to get into that one. Blood of Dracula's Castle, which was a butcher job, because I remember he used to have the case, but remember it got ripped up. I mean, I could put this with the vampire films, but I just, you know, for some reason that red construction paper is just in the shadows of my memory. I prefer it. There's The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which came from the night that we did The Blob, the chicken soup. Good times, man. Heavy Metal. Ugh. I just talked about goddamn American Pop, which is amazing, but this is like that on crack, thrown into space and then back and then into the future and then back. That's the only way I can describe it. Great short stories. It's actually Canadian-made film. Shout out to my brethren. Lots of familiar actors. John Candy, Richard Romanus. You know, my favorite story in this film is hands down the Harry Canyon story with the cab driver in near future New York. It's great. It's great. We got Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock's classic. Can't really say anything about that, because if you haven't watched it, you're fucking yourself over. It's classic. Don't ruin it for anybody. The Thing from Another World, which is the source material. This the first film based off the source material called Who Goes There, which was a novella from a long time ago that was, turned into this film and then turned into the John Carpenter classic. We got Bad Ronald. If you have not seen Bad Ronald, I highly recommend it. It's a TV film from 1974, which I believe is the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or it might be 76. But either way, this film is about this kid who's sort of like socially awkward, and he accidentally murders this girl, and is, as a way to not get in trouble, his mom basically builds this room in the house, and it's for him to hide out in. So he's the only one that can get in, get out, and she actually ends up passing away, and the house gets sold to this family, and he continues to live in this room and like steal the fucking food and drink the milk and like all that kind of shit, man. So it's pretty twisted. It's very twisted. I'll move this over probably for the final time. Not yet, but okay. So this floor is not exactly level, so that makes for like the roof to not be level. It's kind of ridiculous, but I wish let's get this pointed down a bit. There we go. Okay, so we got The Beguiled, which I believe was a I think it's a Western. Yeah, it is a Western with Clint Eastwood. Next, we got American Pie, which is a comedy that came out like in 1998, 1999. Pretty much everybody's seen it. It's considered a classic of the time, but I don't think it's that good. And I feel like it's one of those movies that, like, all the music from that movie, I basically can't fucking stand. You know what I mean? It all sounds the same. Crazy. But here's another RP production, which is UFO Fact or Fiction, which everything that's on here is labeled on here. So, like, he's got UFO, a study of film and photographic documentation, alien abductions, discussion of the alleged abductions, the Roswell incident, stuff about Nikola Tesla's death ray, anatomy of an autopsy, just tons of stuff. And the thing that I always loved about this was he taped the alien autopsy photo on there. I just love that. I love that, man. So cool. Next we got Shakes the Clown, which is a comedy film, I believe directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. It actually stars him as well. An early appearance of Adam Sandler's in this film. Like it's really pretty fucking good. I really do like it. It's not for everybody, especially my Uncle Mike, but I really do like that film. Next we got Zombie Child, which is another butcher job, because there's part of the cover. I always get that movie confused with Children of the Living Dead. I actually don't remember this movie at all, so I should probably check it out. Here's 2 Stanley Kubrick documentaries that were taken from Netflix, I believe. S is for Stanley, which I believe is the documentary from the point of view of his driver. And then there's Film Worker, which was the point of view of his assistant. Really good stuff. Fahrenheit 451, read the book in high school, or not in high, it was actually when I was getting my credits, because I fucked around in high school so much I had to go back to adult school. But with that being said, this is a great film about books being outlawed, and Fahrenheit 451 is the temperature that paper will burn at, so that comes from that. It's actually a Ray Bradbury book. It was the first one I ever read of his, first and last, to be honest, but I would read another one of his. I didn't mean that as disrespect, but this is a series of James Bond films that this is from Richie, my stepdad, who is no longer with us. These were some of his tapes. He didn't tape these, but I remember we were getting taped tapes from some fucking source that he knew. But this is Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, and The Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, which was for me. So I'll never get rid of that, man. This is Leprechaun 2. It's also got Greedy State and Clean Slate. Right here, this is Rambo, Gremlins, and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. This one, oh, tape's coming up on that one. This one right here is really important because it has the Frosty, the Snowman cartoon, Frosty Returns, and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So like all those, those classic kind of cartoons you watch during Christmas. And the last one is one that I actually did with The Orphan and the Crazies remake. So, yeah, man, those are the rarest tapes in the collection. There they are. There's the wall, man. So I appreciate everybody for watching, and staying tuned for more videos, because more are definitely on the way. Thanks for watching. Adios.